Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
Hola, I'm Rich.
I'm Rob.
Hello, I am Brian.
Apparently we're we're celebrating World Paranormal Day or something. I don't know. Hey, is there one? We need to make one. Let's coin it.
I would bet there is.
We'll
Every
see.
day is like 7 different days.
Something of something.
Yes.
Okay, so we are back with a full episode. And tonight we just have such a special treat because Rob is taking over.
So
Rob's taking over, so I will let him introduce his topic, and we are the Peanut Gallery. And there you go, Lord Reverend Rob. Or would you prefer Reverend Lord? I don't know.
No, I looked it up, and its proper way is to put the minister title before.
Okay.
Lord.
So if we said it in proper, like,
it's Reverend Lord.
Yeah, but don't they say Laird? Like, isn't it Laird? Like, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
Is it?
It's Lord.
Yeah, but I think that, did you buy it in Scotland or Ireland? We're talking about a plot of land that he bought in
Scotland.
Scotland. Then it's actually like it's supposed to be Lord, but I think that the true
like Lordy.
I'm gonna go look at my documentation. Hold on.
He's gonna look up his document.
Well, yes, they have an accent. Lord.
Laird. I think it's Laird.
Lord. It is clearly spelled out as Lord and Lady Morley.
Okay, well, they had to just convert it to English, I guess, because when I looked it up, the property thing that was being advertised on my my Facebook feed or something, it was like Laird, which I know they say it like that because I watched Highlander, or not Highlander, but what's the name of that show? I watched Highlander, but that's not.
No, you're thinking of the other one with the Outlander, is what you're thinking.
Outlander, that's it. That's what I'm thinking of.
Why do I know everything when it comes to that stuff?
So that when we go over there, we go to Scotland. I'm going to Iverness specifically. Like, maybe I'll go back in time through the stones. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, it's to you, Reverend Lord.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Reverend Lard.
So, anyways, the topic of tonight is a topic that has been interesting to me for a long time. It is the out of time objects. Now, I know that the title says out of time, out of place, but out of place usually refers to, like, we find some Viking coins that in the US that will predate Columbus's arrival in the US. So, but we know that, well, there's the possibility the Vikings may have come over, and that's an easy solution. To me, the more interesting are the ones that are out of time. So originally, when I first got introduced to this subject, there were a couple of these certain artifacts that were presented to me through videos and articles, which were the ones that got me into it. So I was going to bring those up first, and I'll give you information that basically how it was presented to me originally. And in doing a follow-up for this episode, I found some other information, and that's where the internet upsets me, right? It's is it misinformation, too much information? Who do you believe? And then sometimes it breaks your heart, right? Because you got undisputable facts, because I want to believe, like we talked about in the Bigfoot episodes, right? Mm-hmm. Because when we talk about out of time objects, I mean, what comes up a lot is time travel, interdimensional traveling. Were aliens there? But I don't think aliens, I mean, who knows, right? Trinkets, antiques, maybe they go antique shopping or whatnot. But one of the first ones I ever heard of was the Newton bell. So the Newton bell was found in West Virginia in a lump of coal, a big lump of coal, back in the I think it was the early 30s. A family was putting coal into the fireplace. There was a big chunk. It fell. It broke open, and it reveals this bronze bell. Now the bell, they're still, as far as the origin goes, are not exactly sure. There's some alloys they don't necessarily are exactly sure what is in there. There's definitely bronze and metal, other common metals in there. But how it got into some 300,000 plus uh, coal coal mine that came right from West Virginia. So there was I'm looking, there's some information it gives a little bit older. It actually dates it back to somewhere around the millions of years, over 1 million years old. But it also talks about how that wherever this artifact might have come from, could have been put in a slurry, because what they do sometimes is they take the ash and water, coal ash and some water, and they mix it up so that they don't waste it. But when this was found, they don't have any of the coal. They don't know how this family would have got a hold of this bell. And what I was originally told when I read saw a video or something, was that the bell had disappeared. It fell in the hands of several people to actually authenticate this item, and nobody's ever been able to do it. And then it just disappeared somewhere. But apparently it hasn't. It's been in a museum in West Virginia for a long time. And where it looks like a bell, like you would picture a school bell, on the end, there appears to be what looks like a demon, that they believe that could be Pazuzu. And if you know your demons, like I do, Pazuzu is the demon that possesses Reagan in The Exorcist. So you actually, they show statues of Pazuzu. So I thought, or they think it was some Hindu god. There you go. There it is. It looks a lot like that, because that's it.
Jump on our YouTube, everybody. If
Yeah.
you're downloading, go to YouTube feed.
So
if you-
they believe that's Pazuzu. They also have believed it is a could be a Hindu god. They refer to it as a Hindu demon, because what I'm starting to find in this recent research, that there is a lot of articles that put out this information by creationists. And I didn't realize there was this whole creationist movement where they try to grab artifacts and try to prove that a lot of this is just pre-biblical, and it doesn't come from some other civilization that may have existed a long time ago. Nor do I believe that these aliens had this bell on their spaceship and just kind of threw it out like, we don't need enough of that, no more cowbell, and they threw it out. So
More cowbell.
Yeah, can't get enough
right, no
cowbell.
more
Come on now.
cowbell.
You need
No,
more.
no more
cowbell.
cowbell. So I know this article actually had something in there about a million years. It might have been something else. So it was 100 feet down. They were talking about a minimum of 300,000 years, probably more. How did this bell end up in here? There hasn't been any what's the word I'm looking for? Anything to definitively say where it's from, how it got there, but they also don't have like the coal it came in anymore. And these are some of the letdown items that facts that come up when I research this. Another one was the Casso artifact, which you are probably familiar with and don't know it. It is the spark plug they found in a geode. For a long time, the way they had talked about this spark plug was that they had to x-ray it, and they were definitely sure it had to have been some kind of spark plug by the way it was designed and what they see on the inside. You got to wait there's going to be this little bit of pauses in here because I have like 1,000 windows open now.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
look at that.
Right? So I can just
The
reference
hell?
everything, but there's so many that I can't like actually like tell what it is unless I go over it. So this pause might actually be
That's
what
clearly
you
a
might
spark
have
plug.
to. What's that?
Says clearly a spark plug.
You're looking at it?
Yeah, clearly. I mean,
So I pulled it up on the and
That's
shared the
crazy.
screen.
But I wanted to get some more of the information, and
Yeah, absolutely.
huh.
I did have that pulled up. I wanted to be a little bit more precise on that. Just give me a second. It's one of these 150 windows. I was trying to come up with a way that I could actually like how could I number this so it would come up and I wouldn't have this issue. There it is. One I missed. So yes, this object was claimed to be a spark plug encased in a geode discovered in February of 1961. Now you can see in the picture, it certainly is in the geode. They cut it in half. Apparently, they didn't know it was in there. They've done several X-rays on it and believe it to be a spark plug. So I don't know how long it takes a geode to form, but I'm guessing it's not something that takes a couple of years, especially the crystallization process. But now I've seen this through several videos, both these artifacts, and there's never been anything more in there as far as a real analysis of it. Besides, they took some X-rays. They think it was obviously a spark plug. And how did it get in there? We don't know. Is it left behind by civilizations that were far older than ours? Was it put in there by aliens? Did some time travelers go by? I don't know why they come out and walk around with a handful of spark plugs and just kind of chuck them around. But there's been a lot of car collectors and even spark plug collectors that have looked at this, and many people believe it to be a 1920s champion spark plug widely used in the Ford Model T and Model A engines.
That's what I
So,
was gonna say.
right, right. But I want to believe all this stuff, but there's still no, you still got nothing that's hard evidence either way. So I still want to live like that Bigfoot. I don't have a corpse yet,
Yeah.
but it could be there. But these guys don't have a definite answer either way.
And they're not able to like date the rock or the geode that it came in to
Let's
like
see the thing. They did date the rock. It's dated back to 500,000 years, fossilized on the surface that date back to 500,000 years by the University of Washington. Geologists could find no evidence of this claim. Wait, it had been claimed. Oh, raises the questions of qualifications and competency of the original alleged geologist in 1961.
gotcha.
Right. So again, it was a little disappointing to find out some of this information. A London hammer, which was found in London, obviously, a couple that was walking through some mountainside, some creek area, 1936. I'm sorry, it was London, Texas. That's why it's called London. I didn't want to mislead you that it was
That's a
London,
different
England.
place.
Well, right, but it was in London, Texas. I just didn't want to mislead you. So they found this hammer embedded in limey rock collection. When you look at it, which I'm sure you guys are looking it up right now, is
Hmm.
right. It looks really old, but some people believe it to be um, from somewhere around the late 19th century. Like a mining hammer, and the mineral that it was found in can actually, through enough runoff, can change and form shape. And if the hammer was left in the area, they believed that that hammer could have gotten into that mineral through that process. Nonetheless, um, the hammer there's no definite proof either way.
Right. It's
It
like, how
doesn't.
are these objects being embedded into these like ancient, like
Right.
pieces
So
of
where do they
rock?
come from? Are they
Right.
hoaxes? Um, where do they come from? And, you know, a lot of it is ancient alien stuff has been theories or how it has been presented to me, but I just don't think that aliens have wooden hammer tools or those kind of spark plugs are running their UFO, right? And well, we had to stop
Maybe
here.
the earlier
Steel come from
UFOs.
right, and then like so then time travelers. Okay, maybe a time
Yeah.
traveler had a wooden hammer, right? Was doing some mining, went back to the year 5036 and presented its findings, and they were still using wooden handled hammers because we didn't burn up those resources then. The hammer consists of 96.6 iron, 2.6 chlorine, and 0.7% sulfur, which
Oh,
doesn't really tell me much, but it seemed to be important in several of these articles. And
it's
it
all
goes
can be
back,
found here, right? So it wasn't like
yes, but it
unexplained.
also goes back into a lot of creationists who claim the artifact was a monumental pre flood discovery. And I think a lot of this stuff is pre flood discovery, just proving creations. But we already know that there was a worldwide flood. It's in many different religions. We can look at the geological, you know, dirt samples. You get down so far, pretty much most of the world about the same time experienced a major flood. So we know it did actually happen. And that's where looking at all these, like the Baghdad battery, um, I never am sure if I'm saying it right.
That
The
sounds like a wrestling move.
It does.
Theora,
Baghdad battery. Oh,
what's that?
sounds like a wrestling move. The
The
Baghdad
Baghdad
battery.
battery. It's a battery that they had found. It's a base. It's got copper in it. It's got a rod in there. Um, and if you put some like citrus,
Yeah.
some kind of acid in there, but it generates like 1 volt.
Huh.
And they never found anything to prove that that's what they were using it for.
It looks like a
Generate
vase
electrical.
or vase.
Yeah. What was the debunking? I read this one like a week
That
ago.
somewhere that they believe they found similar vases that they used to preserve scrolls.
Right.
Oh, that picture.
Right. I liked it better when I didn't have the internet to
Yeah.
debunk a lot of these theories.
You
But
just had those books from when you were a kid and you're like, oh
but
my
who do they
God,
know that preserve their
Right.
scrolls
Well,
that
one of
way? You know that's what it is.
Like 2 weeks ago, I was watching a video and it completely ruined the Anunnaki for me. Everything we ever learned or everything I ever knew was, ancient aliens, watching on there, or other videos that base their stuff on ancient aliens. And ancient aliens bases all their stuff on these books by a self proclaimed amateur archaeologist who did his own translation. He's not trained in anything, he's never been schooled in that. He was a warehouse supervisor.
Oh,
And I'm not making fun of warehouse supervisors or anything.
Oh,
I'm
great.
not saying you
Lost
can't
them
do it,
now.
but right, we just
I was
lost
glad
our
it wasn't
sponsor.
me
Just
for
lost
once.
everybody, every warehouse supervisor.
Yeah.
Damn it.
we offend literally everybody.
Yeah. We have this
Not
bad
me this
habit
time.
of singling people out. Sorry.
Yeah, we do. But I'm just saying he wasn't an archaeologist. He
Was
wasn't
he from
schooled.
Florida?
He might have been.
Oh
He might
shit!
have
You
been
know he
from
was.
Florida, but his translations,
Yeah.
although were close, when we're translators, people that were trained and went over all those writings from the Anunnaki, like he wasn't close. And where you you would see on the shows would say Anunnaki literally means something people from the stars. It doesn't. It means royal blood.
Yeah,
So
but you
like
know what? Back then,
and
like
like
you said,
yeah,
reading.
like changes everything. And it's like one of my favorite. The whole Anunnaki story is just one of my favorites. And now
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
But it's okay because back when you're reading all these and you're taking all these stories in, you're believing something that somebody else believed at that time. They didn't have, like you said, they didn't have the answer. They didn't know what they didn't know. Now you got the digital age, you got the internet, you got everybody else that's smarter than everybody else. So everybody now they know the answer. In 100 years from now, there's going to be somebody else that's going to come out, and maybe it isn't what we think it is now. Maybe it's closer to what was in the book. So
That's
I mean, you can get discouraged by it, but I think
it's
it's just we're
right,
we're
but
our
I
own
also
worst
think of
enemies
it
sometimes.
disinformation
Yeah,
campaigns too.
Yeah.
yeah,
When
yeah,
you
yeah,
look at,
definitely.
because so much of this is intervened by creationists, which was just surprising to me. And we all know that I'm going to offend a lot of people too, that religion,
Yeah, go ahead.
right? Religion, you know, fear is big business.
Yeah, we
And
don't
if
want
you can control somebody by fear, right? And they don't want to lose, they don't want anything to disprove what they've been taught and what they've learned their whole lives. Um, but I also, the, like I said, an anti-Kaya mechanism. I've seen tons of stuff on this thing. You've probably seen it. It is they believe it was a computer.
Oh yeah,
They call it the ancient computer. It was
yes,
found
yes,
in Greece
yep,
after a bunch of analyzing, and there's 36 gears in there, and it
yep,
was used for um,
yeah. There it is.
sailing, so you know where the stars were, and you could find your way.
Navigation.
Navigation, that is
I
the
mean,
word I'm looking for.
look
about.
at this. I mean, look how intricate that
It
is.
is very intricate. And I watched something recently where they said they have found several of these.
Oh
So
really?
in my recent research on this, I can't find anything that says they have found more than this particular one.
I
Now,
just have to, I'm sorry, just have to interject and say, like Brian said earlier, for those of you that are listening, wherever you find your podcast and like to listen on your drive, please, feel like finish listening to this episode, but definitely go to our YouTube channel so that you can look at all of these images that Rob is talking about. This
sure,
is
tell me how to say that now.
the ant, Antikythera, Antikythera.
Why can't they just make it something easier to say, right?
Antikythera?
Yeah, Kythera.
Antikythera?
So that was found on a shipwreck in Greece. They're not sure of the origin. They're not sure of where it would have been built, but it's not so far off from some other advanced mechanisms that could be around the time, but they keep dating it back older and older. And the ones that you see that are finished, they put together through several x-rays and putting in missing pieces and whatnot.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was so preoccupied with finding it. When did they find this and how old do they think it is? I'm sorry.
They found that 1901. It was longer ago than I thought. Some of this, a lot of this stuff was found in the 60s, but this was found in 1901.
And
Looking
how
at
old?
shipwrecks, they've even revisited the shipwreck to find
Mm.
in 2008 to see if they could find any more parts, but they pretty much think they got it solved as to what it was used for. But the technology that they believe went into it, just the dimensions of the size of the gears you would need at this time when that was made. I mean, they didn't even have clocks yet, right? Or watches.
Right.
So they were still using sundials. So where did they get the technology? Of course, then we get back into aliens, and
Got to be aliens. I
you
mean,
got to
it's the
be
only
aliens,
explanation.
time travelers,
Yeah.
interdimensional
It's
traveling.
not the only explanation. I have a theory.
Uh-oh.
So,
So George Carlin had his bit on losing things. Everybody hates losing things.
yep,
Oh, and you start looking in some pretty crazy places. You come home from the grocery store, you put the frozen banana guacamole into the freezer, then you lose your car keys and you think to yourself, you know what? I probably put them in the freezer with the frozen banana guacamole. You open up the door and they're not there. And then you start to think, well, geez, I could have swore I put those keys in there. Everybody hates losing things. And we all have that feeling of, I looked everywhere, but the thing is still missing. What if all of these objects are all the shit that people lose? Like that spark plug is some guy in like
Somebody accidentally stuck it
20.
in a geode.
No, no, no. No, the guy is in his garage working on his Model T. He's got like a Miller Lite. He's out there a nice summer day. He's doing an oil change, putting a new spark plug in, and he's going, "Hey, where's my spark plug? See, I had a spark plug right here." And
Right
the
here, you know.
plug's
See?
gone, and he lost it, and he never found it. And like, I could have sworn I had that spark plug right here. Guess where it went? It went where all lost things go. It just gets lost through into time,
Gets
and it's
sucked
just
into
lost. Yeah, it just gets sucked in and it's just lost into time somewhere.
like the
So
socks in the
eventually,
dryer.
we're
Right.
gonna like get to this layer of rock that's ancient, millions of years old,
Yep.
and
So
we're
all
gonna
car
break
keys.
in it. We're gonna find an entire layer of unmatching socks.
Yes.
Yep.
Unmatch No, the matching socks, that's all dryer related. It's probably just getting caught up and you don't realize that it's on the outside of the drum.
Hold
But
on a minute. Hold on.
thanks-
Let me write this down.
But-
Socks are dryer related. Car
Socks
keys
are
go to purgatory.
Deep
Interdimensional.
earth.
Interdimensional purgatory.
spark plugs, pickaxes, and old timey computers.
Go
Only
to
those
center
things-
earth.
Yeah, they go back to the bedrock area.
Yes, they go to a date far enough back that when we do the carbon dating, we do podcasts about it in 2024.
There we
But
go.
Oh,
Bingo.
but in watching more recent videos and articles about this over the last couple years is where this has really changed, because as we discover that originally they thought, man didn't even start walking upright as actual humans, not other Neanderthals or whatever, until about 10,000 years. They didn't believe some civilizations didn't start till about 4,000 years ago. Of course, according to Jericho, that civilization has been there for 10,000, 12,000 years ago. And now as they find other ruins, like bottom of the ocean, um, they, we don't know when did humans actually start making civilizations? So,
Atlantis.
right,
felt
but
saying that.
Atlantis should, I don't even believe in that. It was a thing
Hey,
that.
what the hell? Really?
Okay, but hold up. But wait, what we have? Let's talk about things we have physical evidence for, like the
What'd you call me?
Yongangui Monument off of Japan. You've probably seen that. It's underwater.
Is
A
it like
lot
the
of
Bimini
sharp
Road?
edges. It's got like staircases in
I
it.
saw that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I mean that's believed to be 10,000, well over 10,000 years ago, as well. And then there's a whole list of other discoveries that were made of cities that they could be 50,000. In 2016, archaeologists discovered a rock shelter in Flinders ranges that contain, I don't know where that is. It's in Australia. Decorative pigments and animal
Oh.
bones from a sophisticated human community that lived 50,000 years ago. So they were making tools back then. Humans in a cave 50,000 years ago found in Spain with prehistoric works of art, including that showed Neanderthals could create art. Then that goes into, they bring up the extinction. We go through extinctions, mass extinctions, about maybe every 26 million years, a mass extinction, or
Yeah, now.
or now hopefully,
When was the
or
last
sometimes,
one?
Yeah.
or partial extinctions that could happen. Even less, 160,000, or more recent than that. Like the Great Flood shouldn't happen that long ago, which wouldn't have been a full extinction. Nonetheless,
God for that.
right? But nonetheless, is that if there was a civilization of humans that existed millions of years ago, I mean, what would we actually have left of that civilization, even if they were a more advanced civilization, right? Like, what would we
Yeah.
have left of New York in 10,000 years?
Yeah.
It's all made of concrete and brick and garbage that
Yeah.
wouldn't last a couple thousand years.
Valid.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, pyramids are made of stone, solid stone. They're not made of something of water and limestone and crap like that. So it was something that came to mind. Um, and it showed up in a couple of videos that I thought about. But, and then one of the other things that came up was, well, we know that back when dinosaurs were walking the earth, right? The humidity and the greenhouse effect. But that brings up one more thing too. Human fossils that are like millions of years old, footprints. I'm sure you've seen the footprint with the dinosaur.
No, I have not.
Footprint with the dinosaur side by side. They're not. They even feel that some of the footprints they have found, they're not sure if it's something older than a Neanderthal that worked upright, or maybe there's a possibility they're wearing a shoe. Yeah, you can find fingerprints and handprints that um, they date way back.
Hmm.
The oldest known modern human fossil, human, was 177,000 to 194,000 years old.
Well, I feel like that. Well, I mean, I'm looking at this footprint between a human and a dinosaur that's like side by side. I mean, I was thinking, oh, that looks like a baby footprint, but it would depend on how large the rock is. So it's hard to tell, like in
Do you think that
context.
dinosaur stepped on them?
That's fakey fake.
Well, I think it's a coincidence. You know how like I just think that something else fossilized there that just looked like a tiny human foot.
Uh-huh.
I don't did you guys ever like have the windows be steamed up on the bus
Uh-huh.
like and then you do this with your hand and touch it with your fingers and make it look like a little baby foot on the window? So I mean that's what it reminds me of honestly.
So they
So
found they found this dinosaur foot, and that's what they did in the rock next to it with the Dremel tool.
yeah, they just well, actually, there was like a baby dinosaur that like just took its hand and did this, and then took its little pointy finger and
It
made the
made a
little toes.
human foot.
Yes,
That's
yes,
what you're saying.
yes.
Or
Mhm.
the dating is just wrong. Just because in the
Or it's
year
just not a human foot.
well, when we do like all of our we did carbon dating and this is what it said. It's almost like that's it, every year that we're alive, we're at the peak of sophistication or technological advancement. In 1956, whatever they were doing scientifically to date something was as technological as they could be at that time.
Yeah,
So when you look at DNA, when that first came into the realm of science, and you go, here's how we're able to analyze it. When you jump forward to 2024, they're so much more in depth into that original DNA analysis, what they're able to do now than they could have even did when they first discovered it. So there's chances that, you know, 50 years from now, they're going to be able to have a way to date things super accurately. And we're going to
yeah,
find out some of these dates are just wrong.
Well, carbon dating is super inaccurate. I
yeah,
mean, it's only accurate within like, actually, it's like a few million years, which is huge.
yeah,
So,
I
so,
mean,
so
in the grand
carbon
scheme
dating
of
is a
like
bad
60
thing.
billion years, but it's still, it can be huge in some of these existence of creatures that didn't exist that long, right? And
yeah. And
I
you were
don't have
talking
enough.
about the oldest remains. I'm sorry we interrupted you.
No, no, I was just those remains, the footprints. There's other human fossilized discovery of a 1.4 million year old fossil human hand bone closes the human evolution gap. Now, this article is from way back in 2013. Um, I mean, There's not even a picture of it.
I'm
It's
trying
in
to pull it up
Science
right
Daily.
now.
I don't
I
know how reliable that is.
Science.
So is this
Science Daily. That's nice.
what you're talking about here? This hand bone here?
In Tanzania.
1.5 million year old bone. Let's see here. The New York Post.
So, what if they are spot on?
It says that the bone cuts may be earliest cannibalism proof.
Yeah, there's another. This one's in the Smithsonian. A human-like footprint. They dated to 6.05, not 6.5, 6.05 million years ago. Maybe they have fine-tuned that. Anyways, what I'm getting at is, are these hoaxes? Is it possible that advanced civilizations, as advanced as us, could have existed long before some of the um, extinction events have happened? Is
Yeah.
that possible? What would actually be left of a civilization similar to ours with the way we build stuff, as opposed to making everything out of solid rock? And there was another article I had that was actually interesting, talking about how the fingerprint of the greenhouse effects that would have, from what we've learned from way back in the days of the dinosaurs, from that era, is very similar to how we're building up greenhouse effects now. And come on, you got to edit out some of these gaps.
No, keep them in.
The
There
goal
it
is to never
This is
edit.
all, yeah, this
Yeah,
is
well,
part
it's
of
like
it.
if
The goal is
there's
to not
the
edit.
tabs are so small that I can't really see it, even if I hover over them.
Now, while you're looking, I don't want to ruin anything because I don't know, like, if you were going to touch base on this, because I'm surprised that I have not heard it from you. But are you going to bring up uh, a popular out of place object from
Swiss watch.
time?
You
Oh,
does it look something like this?
yes.
Okay, it's not
So,
me.
from a time traveler,
That
What
one is
is it?
pretty interesting.
I'll wait until you're done. But I didn't know if you were going to bring up any time traveling
No,
things.
I wasn't going to bring up any too much more. I was going to mention that could have an industrial pre-human civilization have existed on Earth before ours, and this article does talk about one of the creepier conclusions drawn by scientists studied. Now, here's a word I cannot say. I actually have it queued up right here.
Mm.
Anthropocene.
Anthropushy. If it
Is
was James Bond.
the proposed epoch of Earth's geologic history in which mankind's activities dominated the globe, how closely the industrial and induced climate change resembles conditions seen in the past periods of rapid temperature rise.
Huh?
It goes
That's
this
kind of you. That's interesting.
right. That's right, and it says it goes into talking about that the weather, the warming was caused, weather, not weather like whether
Right.
or not. The warming was caused by humans or natural forces. The fingerprint, the chemical signals and traces that give evidence of what happened then look very similar. So, in a span of a million years, what it comes down to is finding these individual objects were very interesting to me at one point, where they were like unique, and some of them, I know I watched videos that said they had disappeared. There was no real conclusive evidence that a lot of research has been done on it, examinations of it, x-rays, carbon dating, and now for some reason are giving them up. Some that I thought had disappeared or were stolen actually have been on display the whole time, something like that mermaid in Japan.
Right.
Um, but they start touching on, maybe these come from, or maybe there has been a civilizations way back as we start to discover ruins that predate our perception of when man started to walk upright and use tools and build civilizations and cities and structures by thousands, tens of thousands of years.
So the thought is that we at some point on this planet had a complete industrial revolution, not dissimilar to ours,
That it's possible.
and that we raised greenhouse effects at that time, and then civilization was ruined, and then the earth got a chance to breathe and relax, then the dinosaurs came, and then the primates came. Is that kind of like the thought process with this whole?
It's a theory.
Okay.
It's
I mean,
it's a theory that I've dug
wouldn't-
up, and as the like the way that these articles were presented back then, and as I see newer information over
right,
the last couple of years, they don't bring up the UFO and the time traveler stuff anymore. They bring up the fact that we have found these ruins that predate what we
no,
had thought. So is it leftover remnants from them? Could man have existed way back then? Are these hoaxes? Did the minerals, liquefy and run around the hammer that is dated to what they believe to be
right.
the late 19th century? The Swiss watch that was found in a sealed um,
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Chinese tomb, right? And it's a
That was
ring
crazy.
watch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was sealed in there, but they
Crazy.
believe it to be a Swiss origin. But it was it
Um,
put in there? You know
I'm
what I
gonna.
mean,
It
folks?
was a 400-year-old tomb.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I'll share my screen. Um. Oh yeah, you were saying it was a ring. So it was like a ring Swiss watch. What the?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, that's
It
it.
said Swiss was engraved in the back of it.
Stop
That's
it.
that's just
But
crazy.
it was a sealed tomb.
Yeah. It's weird.
Huh. That's that's pretty. That's pretty interesting. This theory that you bring up is quite intriguing. I mean, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so I can't say what's plausible
Neither
or
am I, but I
possible.
played one on TV before.
Right. And
Hmm.
I know at some point we are going to do an episode on time travel because there's a couple people that I want to invite back on that are physicists that will be able to talk to us a little bit about the science side of that, the possibility and probability. But the thing that I thought you were going to maybe bring up was what Rich was talking about was the photos that are found with people that had
Cell phones.
out of like cell phones, sunglasses. I'll share my screen here
What do
really
they call
quick.
that one? The Chaplin
So
something, right? Because it was a Charlie Chaplin film
so
premiere or something.
there's this guy
Right where
who
my
like
mind went when you said out of time stuff. I was like, ooh, the people that show up in pictures.
Yeah, it's
yeah, it's
weird.
this like so here's this guy with these sunglasses on.
Now I've seen stuff that said that that's really not wasn't really uncommon for people who people still wore T-shirts.
Now, this one, they're saying that they think a woman is holding a cell phone in her hand. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really like take a good look at
No.
that photo.
There is an interesting picture. It's like an older picture of a woman. God, it looks like the 20s, and it looks like she's on a cell phone.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The Charlie Chaplin
Yeah,
video
I think I
where
have
she's
that.
walking by. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
it's
this one
actually
here where it looks like somebody's holding a flip phone, uh, you know, to like take a picture of
it
this
looks like a
guy.
film camera.
Yeah, so that's way too big to be a
It
flip
looks
phone.
like an
Yeah.
8 millimeter
And
film
then
camera.
there's this one that they said that, oh, I don't want it to go to Facebook, but or
Oh no, we don't want to see your Facebook stuff.
well, no, it's the New York Post. Here we go. It's just sometimes you get on these articles and they're just
Then they want you
so
to
this was
they want
Facebook
you to
convinced.
subscribe.
Yeah, right. That that it was real based on this picture. But see, this is why I hate going to these news articles, because they have like all these extra ads in here. But again, it's hand placement. I mean, he could be holding anything. Yes, it looks suspicious.
Could be a
looks
radio, could be
like-
a transistor radio. He's
Yeah.
listening to the game.
They
know.
they think a lot of those pictures too could be a transistor radio.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yep,
Hold on,
Would
let's
make
see
sense,
here.
but-
because
Woman.
they didn't have big boom boxes to put on their shoulder.
Right.
Was it a woman with
was
a
a
cell
travesty.
phone?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
No.
an actual video. It's
Look
like
up, like I said, Charlie
it does
Chaplin.
have something to do with
cell
Charlie
phone video.
Chaplin. He's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, let's look.
There you go. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so let's take a look at this.
How they know she's deaf, I have no idea.
Deaf
There we
time
go.
traveling. So yeah, is this her? Yeah,
Yep.
she's in the video. She's walking past. Looks like she is standing there talking on the phone. Cause the way that she turns
there, yeah.
oh yeah, looks like she's talking on a phone. Interesting.
And I think what they get at, not only does she have her
It's
hand
a
up, but
device for hearing.
the mannerisms of how she's doing it,
Yes.
we can place, because that's how when you see somebody walking, talking on their cell phone, that's exactly what it looks
Yes.
like.
Yeah,
But-
I agree.
You know,
But of course, that's how time travelers have to communicate with, you know,
yeah.
the central control, so they know when to get
Right.
beamed
Wait a minute.
back.
Can we see her shoes? Does she have those Nikes on that blow up?
What do you want to see?
The
I wanna see if
gold
she has
one.
on the
No, she
Oh,
did not
okay.
have the blow up Nikes, the
okay, the
pumps, the
Marty
Air
McFly
Jordan
Nikes.
pumps or
All right.
whatever. But yeah,
All
I
the
mean,
Marty
there's
McFly shoes.
Yeah.
Back to the
There's-
Future too.
I mean,
there's
in all those
quite a few
pictures, I mean, once you're
photos.
dressed, I mean, you're dressed like you belong there, but then you're going to be on a phone.
Yeah, I mean, it just there's
They
lots
do
of
that
photos that go on like
All the time this happens.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I was wondering if you were going to bring that up, but we'll do a episode later on this. But, I have heard about pretty much almost none of the things that you talked about today. So I'm so stoked about this episode because it was really like it was so good. I learned so much today. Just there's so many rabbit holes that I think you're going to be sending people down from this
Well,
episode.
that's what this was. It was a rabbit hole. Originally, it was a
Mhm.
couple artifacts, but then as I tried to present
Right.
all this information in the shortest amount of time by touching on on each one enough and still be organized, which was my downfall. But nonetheless,
it's
yeah,
great.
it's a rabbit hole that sends you down this way. Well, fossils here and carbon dating and ancient civilizations and aliens with hammers and bells. Who knows why there's a ring watch in an ancient.
Yeah, I'm gonna be reading all this stuff. Like now I have all of the tabs open, so I will be like reading this for the next week, I'm sure.
Definitely interesting. And I
Yeah.
can see where you could get lost in it real easy, because I watched a couple YouTube videos on just these things we're talking about, and I don't know. It's just like Rob says, like the Bigfoot thing,
Yeah.
you know?
You want to believe, you just
Yep. And you have some proof, but you don't have the holy grail of proof, you know, you don't
Yeah.
have
Right.
but you
Smoking
have stuff
gun.
that could go either way. And
yeah.
sometimes you have more that leans one direction than the other. And if you could just get that one thing, that would
Yeah.
solve the whole thing. But
Like a Bigfoot
you never
corpse.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
that's-
it's not a ring watch. Maybe it's a regular sized watch for a very tiny arm.
Oh, them
You have solved the mystery.
Yeah.
tiny
What
people.
Lilliput, what are they called? Lilliputians or something like that?
Well, yeah, but they
What are
also
called?
talked about like fairies used to exist, the fae, like they were tiny little things.
Yeah, they had places to be. They would need a watch.
Yeah. That'd be on
It
time.
wasn't like very small. Like Belle couldn't wear
Oh.
that on her wrist. That thing's like as big as Tinkerbell.
How do you know how big a fairy is?
Because Tinkerbell is like, she's like that big.
I think she was bigger than that.
You think so?
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I think she was tiny. I think the Fae are meant to be like, I think that they're believed to be very tiny. I don't know if you've seen some of those pictures where people like really believe they've caught photos
Oh, there
of,
was that guy who took all those pictures of them.
yeah. So it's very interesting. So, well, thank you, Rob, so much. This was really great.
Rob.
And I'm sure our listeners are going to be
Yep,
going down
good
some
job,
rabbit
good job.
holes, cursing your name. Damn you, Rob!
I get that a lot. It doesn't matter what I do.
Damn you, spark plugs.
We would love to know your thoughts on it. So listeners, if you have any thoughts or you know of anything that we didn't touch on with this article, with this episode, with articles, send it our way, post it on our Facebook page, leave a comment on our YouTube, whatever you see fit. Just a couple announcements. Want to remind everybody that there are 2 paranormal teams that are kind of local. We'll be giving more information as we have it coming out, but they'll be celebrating their 10th anniversary this year. And we are working with them to hopefully put on a Paracon on November 2nd here in Racine in southeast Wisconsin area, in the Racine-Kenosha border area. So stay tuned for more details on that. We'll continue to plug that. And I will never get tired of saying that we're going to Ireland.
Oh, toy.
It's getting closer. I'm so excited. So yeah, we have so much going on. And we're still going through evidence. We have evidence to bring you from a school that we investigated, and evidence from a theater that we investigated. We still have to finish up that evidence and get some evidence reels out to you guys. So just be patient with us. We do have full-time jobs, and so we just, oh, hi, Kitten joined us again. Cat, Rob's cat always wants to be on maybe we should just make the kitten an official podcast host. Kittens. Anyway, so well, thanks guys. It was nice spending time with you. And thanks to all those that are listening. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, dive into, or investigate, reach out to us, connectedrealm@gmail.com. I feel like Rob's laughing about something but we're just not going to talk about it. But just get a hold of us at connectedrealm@gmail.com. And so until next time, stay weird, everybody. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.